thank you for listening to me. I just want to say that first. I'm going to read a quote from Hitler. You know, Adolf Hitler. But before that, I'm sure your family has embarrassed you before. Your parents, cousins. And I'm sure that you've embarrassed your family before. I know that I have embarrassed my parents, and my parents have embarrassed me. But we talk about the issue, and we solve it, right? But imagine goofing up so bad that you cast your entire family name into infamy. The Hitler brand is ruined after World War II. Have you ever thought about that? Can you imagine the Hitler family reunion after World War II? Especially with the journalists coming in, interviewing Rudolf Hitler. And, he would say, Hitler, Adolf, I told him invading Poland was a bad idea, bad for PR, but did he listen to me? No. And then, the whole family has to legally change their last name, which is a lot of bureaucracy on top of the Nuremberg trials. So it's a very stressful time for the Hitler family unit, I'm sure. Mrs. Hitler. Does that sound right to you? If Mrs. Hitler invited you over, would you come? Would you have tea with Mrs. Hitler? Comment below, please. I'm curious. That being said, I'm about to read this Adolf Hitler quote, which I think is very relevant in this era that we live in, this era of information, or as some would say, misinformation. But let me read the quote. In the big lie, there was always a certain force of credibility, because the broad masses of a nation are always more easily corrupted in the deeper strata of their emotional nature than consciously or voluntarily. And thus in the primitive simplicity of their minds, they more readily fall victims to the big lie than the small lie, since they themselves often tell small lies in little matters, but would be ashamed to themselves to resort to large-scale falsehoods. It would never come into their heads to fabricate colossal untruths, and they would not believe that others could have the impudence to distort the truth so infamously. Even though the facts which prove this to be so may be brought clearly to their minds, they will still doubt and waver, and will continue to think that there may be some other explanation. So that's the quote from Adolf Hitler. I'll let you think about that. Think what that means. I'm not going to tell you what I think. I want you to ponder it. Listen to it again, if you want. This quote from Adolf Hitler lies in a book called 12 Rules of Life, for Life, an Antidote to Chaos, from Jordan B. Peterson. You may have heard of him. You may not have. Sorry, I said not have in a rather gratuitous tone. Maybe you haven't heard of him. That's fine. But this quote from Hitler, who was pretty much seen as a jerk, bad guy, I would agree. I don't think that's a controversial opinion to hold. This quote regarding the exploitation of big lies lies within a chapter written by Peterson, where Peterson advocates the necessity and importance of telling the truth. I'm just going to leave it at that. You connect the dots if you want to. Either way, that's my little lecture. I Thank you for listening to me. And I hope you have a great day or morning.